Welcome to On the Firing Line on the information station, AM 1440 KUHL. Information, education, news, and politics of firearms and ammunition is found here. If you have any questions, call us at 1-888-625-1440. That's 1-888-625-1440.
A family was returning home from a funeral when a masked and armed robber approached them in the driveway of one of their houses in Harris County, Texas, and demanded cash. The brother-in-law of the homeowner, a retired federal agent, responded to the threat by drawing a gun and firing at the thief, striking him twice and causing him to flee. The robber was captured a short time later after seeking treatment at a nearby hospital. The retired agent's actions seemed to have inspired at least one of his brother-in-law's neighbors, who told the local media outlet, "I might start taking gun classes for protection." Investigators believe the thief may have been involved in other robberies earlier that evening. This brought to you by KHOU Houston, Texas.
And you are on the firing line with Matt, Jim, and Joe today. Be a part of today's show by calling in at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the local Santa Maria area, please give us a call at 928-1440.
Absolutely. And don't forget, we do have the Facebook page, On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe.
Yep.
You can always listen, or actually you can take a look there and see what the outline for today's show is, read some of the interesting articles that we post up. Make comments as well. We'd like to hear your comments and get a few more likes out there.
Yeah, definitely. If you're on the Facebook page and maybe you don't want to call in and ask us a question or make a comment, leave it on the Facebook page. You know, if you feel like maybe it's too silly for radio, we'll get back to you on the Facebook page.
Absolutely. And of course, if you have friends outside of the area that you want to listen to the show, you can always have them dial in on the computer at am1440.com. It's a great way to listen to the show live. So we appreciate all your support out there. We have an interesting show lined up today. We're going to be talking about how the NRA has announced it will sue the state of California if Brown signs into law these unreasonable Democratic gun laws.
And that's something that we've been talking about, that, you know, yes, the Senate passed it, but it still has to get through these hurdles, and this is one of those hurdles. NRA is a big hurdle.
Absolutely. Let's see here. It looks like we have a caller already on the air. Brian, how you doing? And we've lost him.
We have Brian speaks dial tone language. Anyway,
all right.
Give us a call back if you can. Accidents happen.
Yes, they do. Also, we're going to be talking about another state, Philadelphia, who has had the NRA step in and help fight them in the courts against laws that were absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
And it kind of gives an outline of how things may happen here in California. And furthermore, we're going to have Texas attorney threatens to sue feds over UN arms treaty. So that's something that's been out and about. So we need to talk about that. And in connection with that, we'd like to talk about the report that the U.S. has funded weapons reaching Syrian rebels. That's something that's kind of bothered us all here, because it's like the federal government is giving weapons to the Syrian rebels to fight an oppressive government, which is exactly what our Second Amendment is supposed to stand for, but they don't want us to have guns.
Yeah, it's totally asinine to be giving, okay, let's give those guys arms, but let's take away the arms of our own citizens.
Yep. All right, Brian, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Excellent.
Hey, I had a question for you. I've got an option. I know I'm kind of off topic a little bit, but I've got an option to buy a 781 Marlin 22, got the gold trigger on it, for $80. And then I've also got an option to buy an unfired Model 700 Remington bull barrel carbine, unfired, like I say, for $200.
Okay. When you say the Remington 700 bull barrel carbine, are you sure?
Yeah, it's actually the tactical model.
Okay, so it has a 16-inch barrel on it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, I would go with the 700 for $200 all day long.
Likewise, I'm with Joe. The 700 for $200 is a great deal.
Yeah, you can't go wrong there.
That's what I thought. What about that 781?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. For me, if I'm going to get a 22, I think there are better 22s out there to get. Even your Remington 1022, the well-known 22 there.
The Ruger, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the Ruger, that's right.
Yeah.
That's something I'd be looking for. It's great for the kids. It's another great 22 that I really love is the Henry lever action.
Oh, those are awesome.
That's the way to go.
That's going to be one of my next purchases. I love that Henry.
Yep,
Yeah.
those things are
Now,
awesome.
Henry, are they making anything besides 22 on those?
Oh God, yeah, they're making 30-30s. They're making all kinds of stuff.
357
Are they making,
Magnums, 22 Magnum, 44, you name it.
Yeah, go on to the Henry webpage.
You watch their commercials on TV. I haven't got their catalog yet, but you watch them and they're always showing the 22, and I'm going, I don't know. But I'd like to have an original Yellow Boy, if you ask my opinion.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
Golden
we all?
Boys would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be nice to have one?
Absolutely.
But anyway, I wanted your opinion on that 700.
I'd say go for it.
Yep, go for that 700. Make sure you find a good local firearms dealership there to handle your FFL.
Maybe
absolutely.
Tactical Guns and Gear.
Absolutely, especially if you're in Santa Maria.
Those guys are good. I can go with them, yeah.
Well, we're kind of particular to them, so.
Well, of course you are. I mean, they're great guys. I love them.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I just wanted to see what your opinion was on that 700. I know my opinion.
There you go.
There it is.
Let's get her done,
There it is.
All right.
Hey, thank you very much for calling in, Brian.
Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care.
You got it. That's good. We don't mind those calls at all. When when you're looking for some advice, please give us a call. We'd love to help you out with that kind of stuff,
Yep.
and it kind of keeps us being a gun show.
Oh my goodness, imagine that. Yeah, and that's what kind of, Brian just did a great example of sometimes, he said, well, this is kind of off topic. That's 100% fine. I know we kind of jump from topic to topic. Things move along. At any time, call, let us know. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, if anybody else has got any questions, please give us a call. We'd love to hear from you today. The more calls, the more interesting the show seems to be.
Yep. So Second Amendment encounter. The first thing that strikes me is these people are coming home from a funeral. I mean, talk about a terrible time for something like this to happen. And again, it backs up this saying or whatever of you never know. You don't pick the time.
No, you don't.
You might think, I'm going to a funeral, so I'm not wearing whatever I usually wear. I'm going to be a little bit more relaxed. And sure enough, when you least expect it, as always, that's when it happens.
I remember talking to a local law enforcement agent here in town at the Tactical Guns and Gear there that actually was stating that that's what a lot of the criminals are doing. They're looking at the newspaper, and they can tell when people are going to have funerals, and that's when they're hitting people, is when they're either getting home or they're robbing the houses before anybody gets home.
That is so wrong, and
On all levels,
that's just
absolutely.
like totally unjust, and that I don't know. I don't want to say anybody deserved it, but this guy was asking
Yep.
for it.
I'll tell you another thing that hits me here is this happened outside of the home. In California, usually it's something we have to do. We have to wait until it's inside of our home.
Yep.
And it makes it really hard for us to protect ourselves outside the home. And as we well know, the police cannot be there unless they're driving by and see it happening, or we call them after it's happened. And that's an important thing to think about when it comes down to our rights of self-protection. You have to fight for everything you can to be able to keep that right, because if you don't, it's going to be gone. And in California is a great example of how it pretty much is gone.
Yeah, and it's very unfortunate, and especially all this stuff that's on the table right now that could potentially pass. I'm glad the NRA we'll talk about in a little bit, but I'm glad somebody's there to kind of say, hey, wait a second, you guys, what are you doing? But this stuff that is going to, the laws that are on there would take the gun out of this guy's hand.
Absolutely.
It all falls back to kind of the old lady that reaches over and the gun's not there.
Yeah.
Same idea right there. And just to top it off, the fact that looks like his brother-in-law saw it go on and said, hell, maybe I need to get in on this and get some training too.
The fact of the matter is if we all take into account the need for good training, and we get that good training, we can handle those kind of situations, and we should be allowed to.
Right.
So good training goes a long ways, and a lot of times you may be able to avoid a situation by good training.
Yeah, and that's something else too. I mean, it's just avoiding a fight is better than getting in one and winning every time. It's just not very macho to brag about how you've avoided 12 gunfights.
Yeah, well,
You know what I mean? But that avoidance is the first thing, of course.
I was thinking of one way, one way the government really starts to take recognition of things is lawsuits. So let's say that our favorite assemblyman, or actually California Congressman, Mr. Yee, so he puts a law through, right? You don't get to use your gun because of his law.
Right.
Right? For
Liability.
right. So you could sue him.
Right.
And I don't see why not.
Absolutely.
He's the one who stated the law. He's the one who did it, and you didn't get the chance to use your weapon or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That's what's really going to come down to. And you know what? People are so sue happy, it's crazy. I mean,
This is
somebody's
true.
going to do this.
Well,
Yeah.
that's something we made a statement before. Is it's these politicians, the Democratic Party here, that's trying to enact and pass these laws to restrict our rights. I don't think they've thought it through, because in all actuality, they are putting the state on the hook. Because once they take these guns away from us, then they're stating, we will protect you.
Right.
That means they're
Right.
going to have
Exactly.
to
That's what I'm
change
saying.
some of the laws, because right now, that's not the way it's set up. Granted, most
Right.
of the police officers, law enforcement out there,
Are good people and they're gonna protect.
Right.
But it's you gotta think outside the box of that. And protecting yourself, they react to things that happen.
And now with this supermajority in both the House and both the parts of the government in California, they can pass whatever they want to. And obviously, we knew what they passed about a month and a half ago. That's really backlash on them. It's the gender unbalanced, and they say gender balanced, but gender unbalanced bathrooms and locker rooms. So.
Well,
They'll pass whatever they want to.
yes, they will pass. But here's the thing. Once they come down to violating your constitutional rights, I think we have to stop and take a look at things. Everybody out there has to stop and take a look at it from a common sense value.
Absolutely.
Number one,
Without a doubt. Yeah.
they are violating our rights, and they should be arrestable at that point.
Yeah, and that's a huge one. I mean, I know you have more to follow, but that's almost enough said.
Right. All right, let's go ahead and get on with today's show. The NRA has announced it will sue the state of California if Governor Jerry Brown, a Democrat, signs an across-the-board ban on semi-automatic rifles with fixed or detachable magazines capable of holding more than 10 rounds. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hit that story hard and strong there.
You're listening
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We'll be right back with you on the firing line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifles, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Built in the AR-15, lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies are in stock, as well as a large selection of handguns, tactical shotguns, and bolt-action precision rifles.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol classes.
Located just off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit, look for the big rifle sign on the freeway, as well as the giant 5-ton tactical military truck. Support your Second Amendment rights and visit Tactical Guns and Gear today.
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years.
Now, a great word from Santa Maria Motorcycles, formerly Santa Maria Harley-Davidson, located at 2022 Prester Lane. They are dealers for Honda, Kawasaki, and Harley-Davidson. Grab your family and go see the museum, filled with exciting older bikes that you won't see anywhere else on the Central Coast. As well, they are the #1 motorcycle dealer on the Central Coast with the largest inventory around. Go in and see Martin Buchanan, or you can give him a call at 805-928-3668. You can also go visit them every first Thursday of the month for Bike Night. Starts at 6 p.m. Have a great time with your family at Santa Maria Motorcycles.
You are on the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. Be a part of today's show by calling in at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the local Santa Maria area, please give us a call at 928-1440.
And we are back.
Yes. It's
on
true.
the firing line.
It is true.
All right. As we said before we went to break, we're going to be talking about the NRA and how they have announced they will sue the state of California if Jerry Brown does sign an across-the-board ban on semi-automatic rifles with fixed or detachable magazines capable of holding more than 10 rounds.
You know, before you get started in that, Joe, that's a pretty broad description. You know, a semi-automatic rifle with fixed or detachable capable of holding more than 10 rounds. It's almost like one of those things where they word it so weird and vaguely that
They're trying to cover all the aspects.
Exactly.
Of it.
They're gonna
That's what they do.
They're gonna end up saying, well, this law pertains to that because of the 10 or something, you know, and it just seems like it's very weird.
Next to be, if you have a can opener on your rifle, it is now an assault weapon.
Well, they do that for the reason because they, you know, in case when they take it to court, they start amending their thing. But they go broad as they you know, let's just put the shotgun out here and saw it off and see what we can get out of it. And then they start narrowing it down. Yeah, it's good lawyering. That's the way you do it.
Really good lawyering.
No, it is. That's the way you do it. Because in case you miss something, or you never know what you're going to squeak through.
Well, they've still missed the point. Local law enforcement that we've talked to have a great attitude about this, or shall I say, an attitude that matches those of us on the air and those of us who believe in the Second Amendment.
Yep.
Their attitude is that these gun laws proposed by the Democrats don't really change anything, as a criminal or a person with bad intentions will get the weapons they want either by stealing them or getting them from other states through straw purchases. Furthermore, changing a gun back to the ability of using a magazine release is easy by just watching a YouTube video. And think of this, the bad guys can change it back to its original form at any time they want. Yep. So really, all they're doing is creating laws for the people who follow laws. If you're a bad guy and you don't follow laws, these laws mean nothing.
Zip. I mean, you know, like it's... You know, I mean, there's really nothing from keeping me taking my bullet button out of a rifle except, you know, my own, I don't know, integrity or whatever you want to call it, responsibility. That's what's there. That's what's keeping me from taking it out of my rifle. Because, we all want a mag release and stuff, but
I'd love to have mine
that's not the way it is around here, unfortunately.
And it's almost like if you're going to make a law that's unconstitutional, maybe we should violate the law.
Oh, man.
Wait a minute.
We're not condoning it, but...
Isn't that thing you see on the movies all the time with the mag release, and that thing just falls right out and they slap another one in there?
That's exactly what it is.
So there's no more of that, huh? So they can't do that in the...
Well, we haven't been able to do that for a while. We have bullet buttons, and the bullet buttons make it so your magazine's non-detachable unless you use a tool. Bullet being a tool, and that's the way it's written in the California law book.
Buy the tools.
Well, and the thing is now is Yee doesn't like that and thinks that you can still change a magazine too quickly, and we've got to stop that. Not realizing that people are smart. People will get around that. There's other things we can do.
Yep.
And as a matter of fact, if you go online, you'll find that people are already doing that.
True.
All right.
Take it away.
The bill that they are talking about bans an entire class of weapons that includes most assault rifles. And according to the Fox News, the NRA Institute for Legislative Action says the bill is unconstitutional and would make an unprecedented change to California's already unjust and Byzantine assault weapon law.
Yep.
The statement from the NRA ILA says, our right to keep and bear arms has never been as seriously threatened in California as it is today. After years of incrementally adopting gun control measures, this year the legislature decided to propose new laws adopting everything on the gun ban lobby's wish list.
Wow.
Anything they can think of it, they're putting it through.
And that says right there, the lobby's wish list. I mean, it's almost like you can picture these guys over the past X amount of years coming up with ideas and writing it down on a piece of paper and then submitting it finally a few months ago or whenever.
Now, Gun Owners of California Executive Director Sam Paradis echoed this statement. No question about it. The bill will make half of the rifles in existence assault weapons and make them illegal. Assault weapons in California are already highly regulated. They can only be used for limited purposes, and owners are prohibited from transferring them to anyone else in the state. This bill will broaden the definition of an assault weapon and then ban each newly redefined weapon.
Wow.
They're going to have a hard time with this, and I don't think that they've really thought this through. Again, I don't think so. But think of this. California came out with a ban, what we call a on list or off list.
Yep.
they stated that any AR-15 would be illegal. They got taken to the courts. The court said, no, you can't just make a blanket ban like that. And so they had to list each and every one by specific name.
Yeah.
What happened was the manufacturers got smart and wise to this and said, well, okay, we'll change the name, we'll change the model number. And it wasn't on the list.
Yep, and that's what they did. I mean, it takes some time. I don't know. There's some time period in there before they can do it. But you're right. That's what they did. I mean, people are smart, especially people that have been doing this, that are in these companies that are 100 years old. They know what they're doing, and they know how to do, they're good at it.
Are you saying politicians are stupid?
Well,
never.
They may not be the brightest bunch, but we vote for them. What does that say about us?
I was thinking about when are the Democrats going to start making marijuana laws? I mean, it should be pretty soon. I mean, they got 60% of them in there, super majority.
Yeah, the problem is there's a federal law.
So,
does state law trump federal law?
No, of course not. But in Washington and Colorado, the federal law said that they're not going to overstate the states.
Well, that's the problem with maybe this administration. So don't go out and smoke dope and shoot your gun.
That was a good. I was thinking that was a good thing that they're not doing that.
Bad combo.
We'll save the dope for another dope show.
There you go.
Okay, think of this. Governor Brown has until October 13th to sign the bill. That means that he can sign it into law or he can veto it. Or worse, as I've heard somebody say, he could fall towards dereliction and not sign anything at all, and it will become law. Yeah. Dereliction of duty.
Yeah, that's scary that he can sit back and do nothing and have it become a law.
When he was voted into office so that he would do something. As a leader, he would make decisions.
No kidding.
So, this Marine guy that's called in on the show a few times, I don't want to say his name out there, just in case, but he's the one that brought that up. And it's a great point.
Yeah,
it
he's
is
got
a
some good
dereliction
ones.
of duty.
Absolutely is.
But that's part of the part of the game, part of the par for him.
I guess
par for the core.
Par for the par.
Yeah, par for the par. Okay, you know what? I found this other article, and it's titled "NRA Fighting Gun Laws Calls for Nutter's Arrest" or Neuter's Arrest. This is written by Joseph A. Bloodazarian. He's an Inquirer staff writer, and the reason I want to read this article because it kind of sets it up with what's probably going to happen here in California.
Right.
Because the truth of the matter is, like it's been stated, the Democrats have complete control. These things are passing; they will become law unless Brown really gets smart and vetoes these things.
Unless he sees the light.
You know what? I'll bet that he might veto one or two of them, but the rest are going to go through. And how do we get rid of these laws? We're going to have to go to court. That's the only place to get rid of these things.
Appeals.
We're going to have to be able to prove that they are unconstitutional and that they cannot become law and that these people had no right to make these into laws. So how's that all going to happen? Well, it's going to take some lawsuits. That's the first off. And it looks like NRA is willing to step up here in California, just as they have in Philadelphia.
Yep.
And this article goes on like this. Philadelphia's latest effort to curb violence through gun control is temporarily blocked by a city judge yesterday in a ruling that both sides welcomed and that left an NRA and National Rifle Association lawyer calling for Mayor Neuter's arrest for official oppression. Common pleas. Court Judge Jane Gutler Greenspan granted the NRA's a temporary restraining order that blocks enforcement of a package of 5 gun control laws passed last week by the City Council and signed by Neuter. Greenspan stressed that she was just trying to preserve the status quo until an April 28th hearing on whether to issue a preliminary injunction freezing the laws longer. She ordered both sides to submit briefs outlining their positions and the legal precedents behind them by 5 p.m. Monday after yesterday's 45-minute hearing. Now, I'm not sure that this happened yesterday, of course. This is an article that I found, from a prior time, but it kind of sets things up.
Yeah.
C. Scott Shields, the media lawyer who filed the lawsuit for the NRA, fulminated for several minutes, telling reporters that Mayor Neuter and City Council were a rogue government for enacting laws invalidated in 1996 by the state Supreme Court. I'd advise every resident of Philadelphia to go out and buy their guns now, Shields said, adding that Nutter had made uncertain the future of gun ownership in the city. Shields praised District Attorney Lynn M. Abraham's announcement Tuesday that she would not enforce the new gun laws because such precautions would violate Supreme Court precedent. He called on Abraham to prosecute Nutter and council members for the official oppression, a charge usually made against police in brutality cases. I'm not going to arrest the mayor and members of the city council, Abraham said in the statement yesterday. But city solicitor Shelley R. Smith said it's unfortunate that he, Shields, doesn't have the appreciation Mayor Nutter and the council have for the seriousness of what's going on in this city. Nutter has said passage of the gun control laws have needed to spark public and legal debate about how to deal with the epidemic of city gun violence that last year caused 393 homicides and left 1,734 shooting victims. So far this year, Abraham told City Council on Tuesday there was 306 shootings and 70 gun-related homicides. Doing nothing is not an option, Nutter has said. Smith called Greenspan's ruling unsurprising. We expected this was going to be a long process. The Supreme Court's opinion has really narrowed our options, but we hope the court recognize that we do have options. In 1996, in Ortiz versus Commonwealth, the state's highest court invalidated a city ordinance to regulate assault weapons, ruling that the state legislature in 1994 passed a law that specifically barred municipalities from regulating guns. The 5 measures introduced by council members Darrell L. Clark and Donna Reed Miller passed unanimously April 10th and were signed by Nutter that same day. These laws are just like the laws that are trying to be passed in California right now.
Yep.
And listen to these, how close these are, because California must have adopted it straight from them.
Yeah, they definitely got some of their ideas from these people.
All right. Permits authorities to seek a judge's orders to take guns from people shown to be a risk to themselves and others. Ban from gun ownership people who are subject to protection from abuse orders. Requires gun owners to report to police the loss or theft of a gun within 24 hours of discovering it. Ban possession or sale of an assault weapons or contraband firearms within the city limits. Limit firearm purchases to 1 a month and require buyers to attain a police certification that they have not bought another gun within the past month. Clark yesterday said he was glad the laws would get a full-blown court hearing. And at the end of the day, we will be proven right on this issue, Clark added. In asking Greenspan to block enforcement of the 5 laws, Shields said some of his clients, the suit was filed for the NRA, National Shooting Sports Foundation, Pennsylvania Association of Firearms Retailers, Colismos, and Firing Line, Inc., 2 city gun shops, and several individuals would suffer immediate financial injury.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and there's a lot of these on here, too. I mean, that California is already doing,
1 gun a month.
The 1 gun a month, yeah, just as we, the only one that makes sense to me on here is gun owners are required to report their theft of a gun. Just because to cover your own butt, you probably want to report it in case they steal it and go rob a 7-Eleven right down the street and leave the gun at the scene of the crime and knock on your door. Boom. So if you report it, you at least...
Yeah, I think reporting your stolen firearm is a necessity. I agree with that. But that has nothing to do with gun control.
Right. Exactly. That's common sense, but it's not gun control.
But I got a question on that. How do you know your gun was stolen? You'd have to have a break-in or something, right? But
Right.
I mean, some neighborhood kid could come into your house and steal your gun, and maybe you wouldn't know it because you don't mess with the gun or something.
Well, maybe you should be
happens.
checking your firearm and making sure what kind of state
that's
it's in.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
How would you do that? How would you know? You'd have to do it on a regular basis, like look to see if the gun is still there. If you're not somebody who shoots all the time.
Personally, they're in a safe. The safe is either...
Well, in California, they're in a safe, but not in
hundreds of
Texas.
pounds are locked to a wall. Usually even there. If somebody has a collection of more than 1 or 2 guns, usually it's in a safe. If you have a pistol or something that you do take out every day, yes, you will inherently be looking at it every day. You'll be, quote-unquote, checking it, even though you're not really checking it. But, you'll notice if it's there, and you'll quickly notice if it's gone. That's for sure.
And maybe you won't. Maybe you won't know that it's stolen right away. But as soon as you do, you should report it.
Yep.
That's the point.
That's the
here
bottom
to be
line.
made.
I agree.
And the fact of the matter is reporting your gun stolen, if it's stolen, has nothing to do with gun control. It's not barring you from buying guns. It's not telling you have to go and register it. It's not telling you anything.
No.
All it's stating is, hey, I've got an obligation to go let the police to know that there's a hot gun out there. And what does that do? That helps the police out because it yes, common sense,
in
right?
more ways than one.
But it tells the police, hey, when they run across this bad guy, they run the numbers. Numbers run up that it's a stolen gun.
Yeah.
Then we know what we can do. We can get
Yeah.
the bad guy off the street and return the firearm to its original owner.
Yep.
That's smart.
So yeah, that one's common sense.
God,
and
I
that-
hate using the common sense thing because it just reminds me of
Yeah,
our
I was just thinking
president.
though, how would you know it's stolen unless you check it all the time or something, or you shoot it all the time?
Well, you should.
Yeah.
You have an obligation when you have a gun. You have a responsibility to check to make sure it's functioning all the time. If that means once a week, once a month, you go in your thing and you check to make sure it's not rusting out, then your magazines are not compressed. Well, then maybe that's the way you do it. Most of us that have firearms here in this area, I think, practice with them continuously because it's a deteriorating skill, and if you
Yep.
don't practice with them, it's going to be useless for you when you need it anyways.
Absolutely. Very true.
So, but the whole idea is we see now that
Yeah.
it's an oppression. It's to oppress you, and,
Yep.
and you have a right to have that firearm. It's a constitutional right. It was set up by our Second Amendment so that we could protect ourselves from an oppressive government.
Exactly. And I actually have a buddy who lives in where is this?
Texas, Philadelphia.
No, Philadelphia. I'm sorry there. And right now he was able to get like pretty much the same type of stuff that we're able to get in California. So I know that if this passes, I mean, those guys are going to hate it just as much as we're going to hate it in California.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Supreme Court or their judges have already stopped it. Because, like I said, this article I think is an older article.
Yes, yeah.
But it's good to know that these options are out there, that we can fight California's stuff, that if the NRA steps in for us, that we
Yep.
can make a difference
'Cause
and
that-
we can keep some of our rights.
Yeah, and the NRA, that's a heavy hitter in our corner,
Yes.
So it's good to have that in the corner.
I just wish that there was some sort of organization that would help us educate the public more. Because guns are not necessarily bad like the media always points them out to be. It's the people behind the gun, as so many
Yep.
times we've talked about on this show.
We say it over and over again, just like we say over and over again, shall not be infringed. I don't know, people make it more complicated than that, but it really isn't. It's the person, and it's also the law.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we get back, we're going to get into the Texas Attorney General threatens to sue feds over UN arms treaty.
That's right. We're going to take it another direction. Instead of state level, we're going to go federal level. Boom. So we'll be right back with you.
We'll be back to more of On the Firing Line with Joe and Jim after this.
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We will be right back with you on the firing line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifle, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Built in the AR-15, lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies are in stock, as well as a large selection of handguns, tactical shotguns, and bolt-action precision rifles.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol classes.
Located just off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit, look for the big rifle sign on the freeway as well as the giant 5-ton tactical military truck. Support your Second Amendment rights and visit Tactical Guns and Gear today.
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years. You are on the firing line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. Be a part of today's show by calling in at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the local Santa Maria area, please give us a call at 928-1440. Yes, we're back on the firing line with Matt, Joe, and Jim. It is the truth.
Yes, it is the truth.
And we're here to throw truth darts at you all day long.
Truth sets you free, man.
Truth number one.
Truth.
It is the Republican, not the Democratic Party, that has stood for most righteous things.
This is a truth dart.
Think of this. Go back in history. I mean, look, I watched the movie Lincoln last night.
That's a great movie.
Killing
by the
Lincoln?
Way. No. Just Lincoln.
Oh, just
The,
the regular
one by
Lincoln.
Spielberg.
But yeah, he does die.
And it was
I don't
about
wanna
the
spoil it.
emancipation. But think of this. It was the Republicans who brought in, that the equality.
Yeah, totally.
Okay,
it was.
And that's
It
what.
was.
And who was the evil party that tried to stop it? It was the Democrats.
And you're so right. I mean, that's very true. And
Democrats started a
you know-
lot of weird stuff like Social Security because they didn't want the Social Security thing. Now we're paying I'm paying at least $200 a month, $200 something a month to Social Security.
We're all
you know?
coughing it up.
Yeah.
that's-
Think about civil rights.
yeah,
Civil rights was
civil
actually
rights.
right. They were against it.
Yeah,
They were against civil rights. The Democratic Party was. And here's another thing.
And they were
they always say
concessionists.
that the Republicans are the rich party, and they're the ones that are always trying to manipulate and rule the world.
Yep.
When the truth of the matter is, more Democrats are richer than anybody else
know.
in the world.
I know.
What are people going to wake up and take a look at the reality of
Smell
things?
the coffee,
This is
yeah.
truth darts being thrown right
Yes,
out there.
right into the board. It's just so many people. I think, especially in the younger generation, because speaking, in their, but I guess now people are a little bit more educated. I don't want to say people weren't, but I know I wasn't very educated on it when 10 years ago. But it seems like younger people just don't really care as much now.
Well,
But-
it's a me, give me generation.
Okay, yeah.
Well, yeah, they say that if you vote Democrat from the time you're 18 to the time you're 35,
Right.
you just you just lost your head or
And-
lost your heart.
And with that, I don't know. A lot of people also seem like Joe was just saying. They think, well, the Republicans, those are the old white guys sitting in there
Good old boys
smoking
club.
on their stogies that have $1 billion in their account, and they're robbing people left and right. But so they think, oh well, the Democratic Party's for me,
Right.
and without taking a look at what they're doing to this country,
Read their
they
platform.
just assume.
When 1988, somebody told me because I used to vote Democrat. I thought, my family's Democrat.
Hey,
you
we-
vote Democrat.
Hey, we
you know?
all make
Don't
mistakes,
admit that
Jim.
on the air.
We all
I'm
make
serious. I
mistakes.
made a mistake. I did. I actually really did make a mistake.
No,
No, I'm serious. And so I decided, well, I'm going to look at both parties. That's what I did in 1987.
and that's what every single person
And
should
if
do.
you do, you ain't voting Democrat.
That's if you
Nobody
honestly
in there,
look
they
at it
say
and
that
believe it.
if
Yes.
you, they say if you, I said if you're from 18 to 35, you vote Democrat because you lose your heart to it. But by the time you're 50, you vote Republican.
you come
Otherwise, you
around.
lose your head.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true.
But that's what I did. I looked at both parties, and if you look at both parties' platform and what they want to accomplish, if you vote Democrat, you've lost your noodle. I
Right.
mean, you better read it again because
Well,
the
it's not-
Democrats
it does not promote America.
No, not one bit.
Not at
it's
all.
a socialist.
Very
it's a
progressive
socialist.
socialist, yes.
What they are is they want to. The three biggest things is socialism, giving to the poor, socialism so the poor can be raised and take over the rich, and the other thing is they're a big an abortion thing. They believe in that, and they used to have segregation in there.
This is
Did
true.
you know that they had
Yes.
segregation in
Yeah.
their Democratic
Well, that's
Party?
why I was saying. I
That's
mean,
what
it was
yeah.
the evil of the Democratic Party in this country's past that has held it back in so many different areas.
Yeah.
But people don't want to stop and take a look at that, or they don't even know that it existed.
And it's so much
They
easier to
see
shut your
today,
eyes
yeah.
and yell and not, take
That's
any
like
new-
today. We're gonna pass? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go in tangent here, but
Tangent?
Obamacare, right? Hello, fiscal. I mean, how do you pay for
Fiscal
this?
cliff? So
We're gonna borrow money to pay for it, and we're just gonna keep going farther and farther in debt.
Yeah, no, and I actually personally got injured when I fell off the fiscal cliff.
Wow, that was good.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
Well, you know what? You're absolutely correct. I mean, he was begging yesterday that, hey, don't worry, it'll be okay. Don't worry, go on, sign up for it. You know,
Yeah, selling it.
I tried it.
He
I
was
tried
selling
looking
it.
at it. You guys did too. You got online and looked at it, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I did. Just to see if I could do it. And you can in California. You can get to certain. You can go to. You can go all the way to just about signing up, and then
Okay.
it.
And
Well,
then
it
back
was
out.
quitting a lot of times, and then finally it'll get you there. If you got a good computer, you can get there.
I pay for insurance for myself every month
Right.
for health insurance. I pay about $300 a month. Okay, then I have a pretty good insurance plan. If I go onto Obama with what I make and everything else, I could end up paying $500 a month.
Yep.
It depends, because mine
Well,
is only $2 a month.
Of course, it's going to depend.
But I don't make very much money, guys. I'm not very rich. I'm not like you guys. I don't make a lot of money.
You're not the millionaires like us professional radio
And plus,
show.
I'm over 55.
Oh,
Well,
That's the golden
Okay.
number.
But
Sign
whose
up for
responsibility
that
is it to
Obamacare.
pay for yours or
The
my
one's 18
insurance?
to 27. They're outrageous. Don't,
Whose
if you're 18 to 27.
responsibility is it to pay for my health?
Nobody's. I don't agree
Your
with that
own.
100%. It's your own responsibility. You should be able to do it yourself.
Yeah, and I'm with that. You know,
Absolutely.
I've never expected anyone else to pay for me to go see a doctor or anything, and I've paid a lot of money for doctors and
Do you know how it all
surgeries
got
and things
started?
like that.
Do you know how it got started? The unions did that.
Oh God,
They couldn't
I
get a
don't wanna go down
raise,
the
so
road
they
of unions.
so they said, "Why don't you give us benefits instead of raises?"
This is
and
true.
we won't ask for a raise for 5 years. That's what happened. That's how it all got started.
I
Because in
agree.
the '60s, you had to buy your own insurance. You had to, if you wanted, medical insurance, you bought it.
Yeah,
and that
you
was when the
didn't-
doctor used to go around with his little thing around,
Making
make
house calls. Yeah.
Crazy.
All right.
But anyway, you're right. You are totally 100%. You're responsible for buying your own medical insurance.
You really are, and I grant, there are some people that can't, and maybe they're.
That's why we got Medicare and Medi-Cal and all
Right,
these other
and
things.
exactly,
And
exactly.
welfare and stuff because we've been
But
paying
your
into it.
neighbors can get together and go, "Hey, look, Jimmy's suffering. He's tried his
There's
best. He's
another
done
one, yeah.
everything.
Let's-
Let's help him.
let's-
Let's take care of this. Let's go
That's
through the
right.
neighborhood and gather
Communal-
money together."
That's right.
communal
That's what
support.
churches did and stuff like
right.
that.
Churches still do that.
And even, think like a rent party. I mean,
That's right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they did
I'm
that.
only 31 years old, and I've had a rent party a couple
yeah,
times.
why not?
You know? I mean,
Why not?
Yeah, you charge people $20 to come in and have the party, and then you hopefully have at least half your rent there.
Well, that's a good thing, but those are
And
things
that's
that are,
just the idea, though.
Do you wave to your neighbors? Remember I was telling you guys that? Do you guys wave to your neighbors when
Yes,
you trap?
yeah.
You know why I do that? And I started years and years ago. I started because my house got robbed.
Hey,
Right, yeah, you wanna
want to
be-
look out for each
And
other.
I want you looking out for my house.
Yeah,
So when
totally.
they see me waving at them, they say, "Oh yeah, that's Jim." They might not even know my name, but they know
But
where I
they
live.
say, "Oh, exactly."
So when they see some idiots, messing around my house, they're gonna go, "That's not Jim or his family."
uh-huh.
This is the opposite of segregation.
But it's true. You should have you're right, rent
Yeah.
parties and stuff like that. It
Yeah,
makes
if
it better.
You can
Just makes it better.
People have been doing it on their own for thousands of years. We can still do it on our own. Everyone wants a leg up. Obviously,
Obama, we don't need your
but,
care.
It's time to put that aside, work a little bit harder, and earn it. That's
That's the way it
it's
should
really
go.
not that.
All right, we do need to get back onto our articles here.
Why, that was a good discussion.
Okay. First of all, well, it was a good discussion, but it certainly is a long ways away from firearms.
Correct. But I think real quick, we're going to get into this, how the U.S. funded weapons for the Syrian rebels, because
Yeah, this is something both Matt and I were
Yeah.
talking about before the show. It bugs the heck out of both of us.
and just the way we were kind of talking about it was think about, in general, the Second Amendment, why we have it in America. It was so we have the power to overthrow an oppressive government or tyrannical government, whatever it may be. Now, what they're doing is trying to take away weapons from American citizens.
Right.
Yet they are sending boatloads, literal boatloads of weapons to Syria to help these people fight an oppressive government.
Yeah, it's okay for some other country to do that, but it's not okay for you to have guns here in case your president or your government becomes oppressive.
Right. So, it's
That's
just,
so, oh my God. And that's the thing. Both of us were just furious about this because it is so anti-American.
Yes.
And it says so much about the people that are in office right now
Yeah.
to let this happen, to do nothing, and to have Jim Carrey.
You said Jim Carrey. I heard that.
Okay. John Kerry to sign a UN treaty and then to have our president sign it.
Yeah.
I cannot believe this. All I can hope for is that it's never ratified and it never goes through.
Yes.
We fought and we had our relatives, our forefathers bleed and die so that we would not have to answer to another government or another entity. And yet here we are in today's age with a president that says, what? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's make it so that we answer. Let's answer to somebody else.
Oh man, and
Well, Kerry's an anti-government guy.
the blood's a boiling right now.
Yeah, that got me going too.
But so
The blood pressure is
Down,
up.
Jim.
It's boiling.
Well, that's
and
just plain
percolating.
sick. I
It's
mean, if it was
ridiculous.
Republicans that did that, he'd be crucified.
Again, with the evil Democrats.
But the thing is, I'm just saying, if you're going to be with
darts.
both parties, be with both parties. I mean, if you're the press out there, you really, go
you
after them.
gotta be bipartisan.
You
You have to
come
be.
on
I
now.
understand it. Yeah,
This is short, or maybe it's not short. Maybe it is. It's treason.
it's
Oh,
treason.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's outright treason.
He was an anti-war Vietnam vet too. That's what really drives me crazy.
Well, I don't even want to go there because that's a
Yeah.
whole other show. Because was he? What did
Was
he
it?
do?
Yeah, exactly.
What did he lie about?
What was his MOS during Vietnam?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay.
We'll try and get into this article, I guess, or we can just keep. This is good because we're talking about.
I think we should just keep talking about it because there's a lot to say about this, and
Yep.
it gets the heck out of me. It looks like we might have a caller on the line. Who do we have on the line, Jim? Dan, welcome to On the Firing Line. You there with us?
Doing, Joe.
Good.
How you doing,
Oh
Dan?
man, this whole thing going through right now. I got the thing through the California Pistol and Rifle Association and a few other guys. Tell Jerry Brown to,
Pound?
Jerry Brown.
Yeah. Pound sand.
These horrible laws that they passed.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's actually they are horrible. That's a good word.
No. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Take, firearms away from people who are responsible and only have thugs that have them. What kind of garbage is this?
Yeah, and our police know the truth. They know that that's only going to stop us from being able to protect ourselves, making it a harder job for them to do.
Yep.
And they know that the bad guys will go and violate the law, get their guns any way they can, leaving us unarmed and them well armed.
Well, that's the only good thing we have here in San Luis County. We got Ian Parkinson or whatever.
Good old
He said
Sheriff
that,
Ian Parkinson.
He's going to say, hey, I'm not going to, uphold these, BS laws.
That's fantastic.
Yep, and if we can get enough sheriffs and enough judges and everything to get all on that same page and get all that information out there simultaneously, maybe even with the NRA in a package, that's going to be, that's going to be our supermajority.
Yep. We need the law enforcement to help back up the NRA in cases like this because they are the ones that have the common sense. They're the ones that have the ability to be able to do something about this.
Yep.
Well, it's the same thing like I just heard you guys. I mean, I've been in and out. I'm a self-employed guy.
Yep.
And I think one of you guys mentioned, Obamacare.
Yep.
Yeah, isn't that sweet?
Yeah.
I mean, since 3 years since they've been dealing with that thing, I went from I have a catastrophic health insurance thing through Blue Cross,
Right.
or Anthem.
Anthem Blue
Blue Cross, and it went from $256 a month to $500 a month.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
we're hearing that a lot. We're hearing that. I've heard $800
Yep.
a month from a person who was under 30.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm just,
$800 a month for his wife, him, and a kid.
How am I supposed to be able to pay for that?
Yeah, that's
no, I'm just waiting, and I have to pay $4,200 out of my pocket until they do anything.
Yep.
And I'm going to turn 60 in November, and I'm just waiting for them to kick me the thing going, oh, yeah, now you're going to pay $900 a month. I don't know what they're going to ship me
It's
there,
completely unjust. It's not right. It's wrong. I mean, there's black and there's white, and this is black. It's wrong. It's bad.
That's why they're shutting down the government. They're saying this is the wrong law.
the only thing we have going for us
Yes, you're right.
is this midterm elections.
You're right.
There are actually Democrats that own guns.
Yes.
And they realize that some of these laws they're trying to push through, they're going to say, hey, if you have anything that holds over 10 rounds and it was grandfathered, and you had a relic, you're now,
You're going to be a criminal. That's the way it is. Flat.
be a criminal. You
Yep.
betcha.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Hey, I really appreciate you calling today. Thank you very much, as usual. And please keep calling back on the show. We love having you on.
Hey, I have to get down to your range.
Yes, absolutely.
Come on in.
I have a little 30 carbine I want to bring down, and I've got my little 22, and I hope to get a 357 Magnum. So.
Yep, that would be fantastic. Come on down. As a matter of fact, we had somebody in there today shooting a 30-30 carbine, which would be, I love those little things.
Good stuff.
All right, thank you very much for giving us a call today, and we look forward to hearing from you again. Have a great day.
Bet. Have a good one.
Take care.
Yes, wow. Yeah, you said we had another caller?
Yes, we did. We had another caller, but he wanted to just say he loves the show, listens to it every single week, and he said that Joe's birthday's tomorrow.
Oh, my God.
He said, happy birthday to Joe.
No.
He was trying so
You know
hard.
what? I've got, 5 minutes left, and it would have never been out.
That's why he said that. He said that he just wanted to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you very
know,
much out there.
You know who it is. He said he's a big fan of the show, so.
Awesome. Well, somebody cares. So,
I think he shares
I grow
the same
younger
DNA.
every year.
Yes, I'm 39 and holding myself.
Wow. You guys are old.
And you were in Vietnam.
Yeah, I was.
Wow.
I was
39.
Mm-hmm. I seen a Vietnam. Oh yeah, how could that be possible?
Let's put this all together.
It's the democratic way of fighting a war.
Well put. Well put. More truth darts.
Yeah, we got to keep this guy on the show. That was really good.
Wow.
That was terrific. Yeah, that's true.
So, we're back to Syrians getting guns and
Are you
Americans
Syrian?
being held back. Yeah, I'm Syrian.
Serious. Like you just said, Americans are being held back. We see it, and it's not just in California. We're reading, it's all over the country. It's almost like this government, this administration needs to, pick its battles, but stick to just one. You don't need to put your finger in every single piece of the pie, you know. If you want to help out other countries, go for that. But maybe, just maybe, you should get the country that you lead going in the right direction first.
Absolutely.
Well put.
Absolutely.
Very well put. It's people like the Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott that thinks like that, and he's the kind of guy that's stepping out and saying, hey, look, I'll sue you feds for this kind of stuff, for signing the UN Arms Treaty.
Yeah.
And it's people like that if we can get them into office, that will stand up for our rights. They will put us in the right direction.
Yep, amen.
And give us a chance to be the best that we can be. Don't hold us back. Don't give us things that are going to make us want to sit on our butts. Give us things that are going to make us want to get out there and prove that we're the best and that we can accomplish anything.
Good
because
call.
that's what it's about to be American. And
it has been for years. And when I say years, I mean hundreds of years.
Yes.
That's just it was handed down through everybody. Even think of the American dream. You work hard, you do, you put in your dues, and just about anybody can make it as long as you put your mind to it and you work hard. It doesn't mean we're all going to become millionaires, but when I say make it, I mean we're going to survive, we're going to live. That's that. Beyond that, that's the ultimate goal, is to survive and live. Beyond that, everything else is just a nicety.
If you've got something that makes sense, you can make it happen. Look at rappers, that pull themselves up out of the dirt of the slums of the ghettos.
Yeah.
Those guys get out there and they have parents behind them that work hard to push them into a direction to accomplish their goals and their dreams. And when they do that, they go places.
Yeah, no, that's actually that's a great way to put it. It's not the usual way we would explain it, but that's excellent. When somebody has a goal, and especially their parents are supportive and they drive them, and the person is driven towards this goal, they will obtain it.
Yes.
And it's hard, but if you stick with the program, you can do it, you guys. We all can.
Anybody can accomplish anything out there.
A little bit of self-sacrifice.
Unless we have so many laws and restrictions given to us by the evil Democrats.
That we're bound up and can't even take a breath without snapping a new rope.
Jim was saying that one of the movie guys won't even make movies here because there's so many restrictions.
Yeah, that was Rob Schneider was on. He's matter of fact, he was standing next to a lieutenant governor. It's going to be running for lieutenant governor this next time around, and he goes, it's crazy. Supermajority's crazy. He said there's just too many laws. He said I can't even make a movie in California, and I haven't for 7 years.
Yeah.
Because of the regulations.
And
Rob Schneider.
That just
More
shows
constrictions.
you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It shows you, it's not just firearms. Look at all the stuff that we have to do to our vehicles to drive them around.
Dude,
look at all the stuff we have to do for our houses to have them. I mean, there is an overload of things that if we can narrow it down to maybe a half dozen things that we had to do.
We need another half hour or so,
We do.
I tell you.
Yeah, because God, one last thing. These laws and everything else that they do are just more ways of constricting you to make you more dependent on the government to do anything, which holds you back so that they can control you.
Right.
And that's anti-American.
Absolutely. Well put. And that's ultimately what I believe their agenda is to have control. I mean, they want to have control over everybody as if they can push a button and boom, these people will do that. Push another button, they'll do that.
All right.
So on the firing line, and stay tuned next week.